All right, so I wanted to talk more about this whole childhood adult thing. I'll tell you, I've seen people become adults. Obviously, I'm sure many people have, but when you're very young, you do see at least some people that are older, and then you see them become adults, and you can tell it's a very big change when you consider who the person was as a child or a teenager, and then you look at them as an adult. You notice very obvious changes, and we'll get more into that. The thing I wanted to throw in was one thing about children. If you're a clever child, right, and you're playing your cards like a clever child, you will find that you will get a lot of negative feedback and negative replies and negativity from adults. Okay, maybe not negativity. Now, I'm not getting into anything, I'm not recapping anything from the previous days, but just in general, I mean I give you, well, I don't want to give examples, but kids, when they're clever, they find a way around here and around there and around there. And if you're like being watched, like if people are noticing you doing this and doing that and doing that, a lot of adults will give you a negative response, a sarcastic response. You will get a lot of sarcasm from adults because they will say things like for example, let's say that you were 3 minutes late, but the national anthem didn't actually start until 3 minutes after the bell. Okay, so that the adult might spin that. Now, in a school is different because there's so many children, but let's say I do that at some kind of government job or something. I walk in, I go, and he goes, "You were late 3 minutes. You're in trouble." Because you gotta remember, adults always want to put kids in trouble. You know what I mean? Adults want to, when an adult becomes afraid of a child, like if a child is too big and too strong, when an adult becomes afraid of a child, the threat that he wants to throw at him is that you will be in trouble. Because he knows that kids don't like detention. You know what I mean? Sitting in detention for half an hour after school, or you know what I mean? Or even sitting in detention for a half an hour when you have a 1 hour lunch break. Meaning that you only have half an hour left for your lunch break. Kids don't like that kind of stuff. And that's why they condition them early. It's early as like the moment school starts, even in like preschool. I mean, if a kid is being very disruptive, they'll put them in the corner and time out for 20 minutes. You know what I mean? Like that's the adult way of dealing with children like that. Yeah, that's all I gotta say. And I don't even know if I have to say this. This is obvious. So this can tie into what I was saying initially about when I see a child become from teenage to actually become an adult, you'll notice that there's a drastic difference. Okay, although some key personality traits carry on, the person that you see in that childhood or teenage years as an adult is like totally different. You know what I mean? You could have a kid who was always into pop music and Britney Spears and all that shit, and he's 20 years old now. He's a total goth, emo, whatever. You know what I mean? He wants to listen to emo rock all the time. He wants to be upset all the time. You know what I mean? Like you see this drastic change in kids. You see a kid who was a bully, and as an adult, he's a pussy. You know what I mean? Like you see that kind of shit happen. Because the truth is that children are quite. Now, of course, a child has power in his life to influence things and change and be more like himself. But the truth is that children are a reflection. Children are not even a reflection of their family. Children are a reflection of who's taking care of them. Whoever's got whoever is taking care or guarding the child, that person basically becomes that child is more of a reflection of that person than his family. You know what I mean? I mean, I don't want to go into specific examples right away and right now, but yeah, it's true. You know, you could have, forget your family. A child could be living with whatever, and you know, you could have somebody else in his life who's closer to him and is an adult and is like looking after him. You know what I mean? Whether that person even wants to or not. You know what I mean? If they're doing that, the child will be more of a reflection of this person than his own family. It happens all the time. You know, kids get involved in different things, or kids get into sports, and you find out that the coach has more influence than his own family on the kid. You know what I mean? When the kid is listening more to the coach and doing more of what the coach is saying versus his own family, even if the coach doesn't give a shit about him. You know, and then it keeps going on and on. You know what I mean? As a kid, I mean, dude, if you're crazy enough as a kid, let's say to like rob a bank or something, like, you know, you will attract attention, and there will be people who see potential in you, and there will be people who see something like, you know, oh, this kid's got something, and, you know, sooner or later, the kid is just not with the family anymore. Okay? Or if he was with the family's thinking, we gotta abandon him and we gotta get away from him because he's crazy. Like, he's just super crazy, man. He robbed the bank. You know, we don't want to associate with that kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like, this kind of shit, it's really fucked up. It can fuck us up. So abandon him. You know, and at that point, he will pick up new family, basically. You know, when you abandon the kid, he's in his life, he's gonna pick up new family. He's gonna find new family and whatnot. Okay, so I made that clear. I'm trying to just put the two together. We talked about children become totally different when they're adults and they do a certain thing. So, you know, the adult world just works differently, and we all know that as adults. We all know what our world is like, and I'd like you to know that, you know, I do comprehend what the consequence, what things in the adult world mean, and what to do with, or you know, basically what comes with the adult world. Now, another thing is, and you really notice this, in the adult world, you could have a kid who was like, you know, totally one way. You know what I mean? And then like, he's totally different. Now, I'm talking about like his actual life, even his social circle and all that stuff. You know, it's like he becomes an adult and he's hanging out with and associating with people who are way different or on some other side. You know what I mean? Just on a whole different tip. When you become an adult, you know, people can actually wave in your life. You know what I mean? You can find like, you know, the east side of town, the barbers over there want to give you a job as a barber. And when you go to get that job, when you're just like, you know, going at it and you're like very good at it, next thing you know, they're saying, hey kid, or hey, well, they call him kid, even if you're a young man. They might say young man, or they might say kid. Hey, young man. Hey, kid. You know, you're really good, man. And then sooner or later, they're like, hey, dude, listen, man. We got a spot for you in our neighborhood in the east side. Where we live around these buildings, we got a spot for you here. So you can come live here, man. And you're making enough money from the shop. You can live comfortably. You can buy food, and you can have a place to stay, man. You know what I mean? That you deserve it because you're very good at what you do. You know, that kind of stuff happens in the adult world. All right. If I had more to say, I would go on. I don't have anything else to say, so I will wrap this up. Nothing else.